I'm Simon Mannering, author of the New York Times bestseller We First and founder of the social branding firm We First. Thanks for taking the time to watch the second video in the series, all about the 8 C's of community building, and I really appreciate all the great comments and feedback. And now we're going to build on that, build on the first video which talked about the new marketplace and the second video which talked about the new customer, and we're going to look at the best practices of some of the smartest brands in the world. I'm really excited to share this with you because as a consultant for the last 10 years and as an entrepreneur with my own business in the last 3 or 4 years, I've learned firsthand how important it is to know how to use social media the right way so that you really do get a tangible return on investment for the time and the money you invest. My history goes back to starting traditional advertising, where I worked in Australia and the UK and then the United States doing television, film and print ads, but then moving progressively into the online and digital media world in the mid-90s, and then in the last 4 or 5 years moving into social media. And as you work through this transition over the last 10 to 15 years, you get forced to examine and employ what really works, what really does make a tangible difference to your business. And I know that's absolutely critical to you because we are so time poor, we are always under-resourced, and there seems to be more competition for our customers' attention than ever. So what I want to do is to take you through a number of case studies of work done by some of the smartest brands in the world that show you the tactics and strategies they used and how some of the things I've talked about in all 3 videos are being employed by those brands to build their business. So let's get started. So what I'm going to do with each of these case studies is lay out for you on the slides the strategy, the tools, and the results that each of the brands got through their social and digital campaign. So you can really see the tangible results that they got, but also some of the tactics they used to get there. And I'm going to draw out from each case study one larger point, one larger strategy that you can apply to your business to drive your success. So the first case study I want to talk about is American Express and their Small Business Saturday. Now this idea was launched in 2010, but in 2011 they wanted to take it up a level. And so what they did was a wonderful example of this idea of co-creation that I've talked about in the training videos. On the one hand, they created a series of tools for small business owners to promote the idea of Small Business Saturday, which is to drive traffic into their stores on a Saturday using social media to drive their sales. So they would create a way to, generate videos of their own. They would create marketing tools where you could do Foursquare check-ins. They would create incentives and e-coupons that store owners could use. So they would create a whole roster of tools, a toolkit for the business owner themselves. But at the other side of it, they also created a platform for customers to declare that they will shop small on a given Saturday, and they could choose from a store in their local area. So what the brand did was they launched this idea of Small Business Saturday, and then they empowered and gave tools to the customer themselves and the store owner themselves to meet in the middle around this idea. And they enlisted the services of social media channels outbound from the store owners and sort of outbound from the customers themselves to promote the larger idea. So it was a fantastic example of a co-creative process. The next example was a wonderful relaunch of a brand. We all remember in the 1990s that Benetton, had this magazine called Colors, and Benetton became synonymous through their advertising with being a champion, a social catalyst for change. And they wanted to relaunch that. So what they did in 2011 was they launched the Unhate campaign. And this is a wonderful example of rallying consumers around shared values and a common purpose. And not only did they go around the world and find isolated instances of conflict and create unhate moments and posters around that, where, for example, you'd see one political leader kissing another, they would allow customers to participate in this process themselves, creating their own moments of unhate. So you could upload a photograph of yourself kissing and match that up with someone else and create your own poster, your own message of unhate. And to complement that, they've created the Unhate Foundation, which serves to promote tolerance and understanding all around the world. The next example comes from Intel and their Museum of Me, which is such a powerful example of how a brand can actually demonstrate its product or service in a way that celebrates the customer. And what they did was very simple. To demonstrate the processing power of their new software, they allowed you to create a museum dedicated to your social footprint, where all your photographs, all your friends, all the things you've liked, each got a gallery of their own that you could tour. So the customer could not help but feel that they were important to Intel, while at the same time it was such a powerful demonstration of the processing power of their software. So really, really smart and strategic example from Intel. The fourth one is a game from Ubisoft. Ubisoft is a game maker that launched this game, Just Dance. So how do you convince people, when there's so much competition and so many other games out there, to actually not just be interested in the game, but to show others what it can do? And so what they did was very simple. They reached out to their customers and they said, could you just take a photograph of yourself in 4 different dance poses? And then you select a track, and then the app itself will show you moving between those 4 different poses in time with the music to show you that you can dance. And obviously these created hilarious videos that people wanted to share. So this is a really powerful demonstration of launching a campaign that is a product demonstration in and of itself, and is innately shareable, because by engaging with this campaign, you create a video that you want to share across your social media networks with your friends. And then we have Carling Black Label's Be the Coach campaign, which is so fantastic because in South Africa, everyone is passionate about football. But with all the foreign coaches out there, Carling Black Label noticed that a lot of the fans were starting to feel that, some of these coaches had lost touch with the players and they really wanted to re-engage and take control of the game themselves. And so what they did was they created on the bottles, the tops of the bottles themselves, a number, and that number was your code. And that code could be used through their app to actually, before the game, decide who should be on a team, and then during a game, decide who should be playing, who should be substituted out. And they launched this Carling Black Label sporting event, and they had 85,000 fans, a record number attend. And then the crowd itself got to literally be the coach, using the apps to vote people in and off the field as players, depending on how the game was going. And it was an enormous success and it generated incredible PR that you could never buy, and rallied the whole country around this idea. So it was, again, a co-creative product and a co-creative sort of concept or campaign that led to a shared experience that drove business success for Carling Black Label. And then finally, I'd like to share with you a campaign done by Charity Water, which has always been a wonderful leader in the non-profit space. Originally they sort of asked people to dedicate their birthdays, and instead of receiving gifts, they would actually get people to contribute on their behalf to generate funds to drill wells in Africa and so on. And time again, they've come up with fresh, creative campaigns to engage consumers in this co-creative process, all serving a higher purpose. And what they've done here is they created this campaign called Water Forward. And it's so smart because its very success turns on the survival of the campaign. And what I mean by that is, if I want to donate $10 towards drilling a well in Africa, I don't do it on my behalf. I do it on my friend's behalf. So I would donate $10 on the behalf of a friend, and they in turn would donate $10 on behalf of a friend. And so the thing survives on whether the next person actually makes a donation on someone else's behalf, and they get the social recognition, they get the reward by being included in these Water Forward books that you see on their website. And you can go in and search Fringe, you can search for yourself, you can see the results that are being garnered, and you can actually use GPS technology to actually see the wells on the ground that are being dug as a result of the contributions. So this is a very, very smart way to build engagement into the very strategy itself, and also to reward that engagement with social recognition in these Water Forward books. So if I had to take all those case studies and extrapolate from those key principles that these very successful brands are using when they engage social media, the first one is define your brand around a shared purpose, something that everyone in your customer community cares about that's also in alignment with your brand's DNA. Secondly, co-create products and services and marketing. Look at the way that Ubisoft actually got its customers, potential customers, to create virtual advertisements for their product that included themselves, which made them innately shareable to somebody else. Thirdly, build platforms that allow consumers to share their success stories. So what Charity Water did, these Water Forward books are just a platform for social recognition. So people get to see the contribution they made in the form of somebody else in the book, and then that can be passed on to somebody else. Fourthly, launch campaigns that serve as product demonstrations. It's almost like you need to see the value immediately these days because people are so used to sort of instant gratification with information and products and services. So think about how you can build a product and build a campaign around it that is a demonstration at the same time. And then fifthly, reward consumers for their collaboration and participation. It could be a discount off a next purchase. It could be a badge they get to put as an avatar on their Facebook profile. It could be an e-coupon that's sent to their phone. But just reward their participation so they're motivated to continue staying engaged with the brand and to do it again. And then upgrade that engagement to avoid community attrition. One of the big challenges for brands is they will build that customer engagement and then it'll suddenly drop away, and they have to build it again and suddenly drop away. But instead, what you need to do is engage them, upgrade that engagement, reward it, and then upgrade that engagement and reward it, and that's how you avoid this community attrition. And then number 7, constantly listen and respond to your customers' feedback. This is probably the most meaningful and valuable intel you can ever get, is this real-time feedback loop that's going on with your customers. They are telling you what they want, and if you give them that in alignment with who you are and the purpose of your brand, you will continue to drive your business success with them as partners. And then finally, the 8th one is treat each campaign as a long-term investment in the story arc of the brand. Think of each campaign you do as an installment, as one chapter in a much longer story, which is defined by the core purpose of your brand. And when you do that, everything you spend on marketing is not only valuable immediately when you spend it for that, finite period spring collection or the Christmas celebration, it's actually building towards a larger brand narrative over time. So you kind of get a double bang for your buck. So make sure you define your purpose and treat each campaign as different installments in that longer and larger brand narrative. And if you do that, again, your customers will become brand ambassadors, social media will become your amplifiers, and this otherwise threatening marketplace will become your friend that will drive your business success. I really hope that was useful, and thanks again for your time.